Tennessee doesn't tax your paycheck. Everyone knows that. What nobody puts in the moving brochure is where the state gets the money instead. 7 costs of living in Tennessee that nobody warns you about. All of them dated, all of them sourced. And number 7 is one you'll pay every month for 30 years without ever seeing it on a bill. First, the promise, because it's real. No state income tax on wages. And the fine print most guides still get wrong. Tennessee used to tax dividends and interest, the Hall tax. It stepped down a point a year and disappeared completely in January 2021. Gone 5 years now, and articles still cite it. Here's the part I enjoy. One of the most reputable tax references on the internet still carries a page saying it would end in 2022. That page was written in 2016, before the state sped the repeal up. Even the good sources go stale. That's exactly why every number in this video carries a date. Tennessee ranks 8th in the country on overall tax competitiveness. The state is genuinely cheap on taxes. It is not free. Here's the bill. Cost number 1, the sales tax. You knew about it, you didn't know it was this one. Tennessee's combined state and local sales tax averages 9.61%. That is the second highest in the United States. Only Louisiana beats it. The state rate alone is 7%, second only to California. Put a number on it. A household running $40,000 a year of taxable spending pays about $3,800 in sales tax. That's my arithmetic from the published rate. For a lot of households, that's most of the income tax saving, quietly handed back at the register. Cost number 2, Tennessee taxes food. Groceries get a reduced state rate of 4%, plus whatever your county and city add on top. Combined, most cities land between 8.5 and 9.75% on general purchases, and food carries the 4 plus local. Memphis runs the highest combined rate at 9.75. Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga sit at 9.25. Only a handful of states still do this, and it's not going anywhere soon. There was a serious push in 2026 to exempt groceries entirely. It failed. The tax survives into next fiscal year unchanged. Cost number 3, the wheel tax. Tennessee counties can charge a yearly privilege tax just for owning a vehicle. It's set county by county, and it changes when you cross a county line. Knox County charges $36 a vehicle. Johnson County, $20. Chester County, $65.35 per vehicle every year. A 2-car household in the wrong county pays over $130 a year for the privilege of parking its own cars. Nobody mentions it until the registration renewal arrives. It's not a fortune, it's the pattern. Tennessee funds itself in small, flat fees you meet one at a time. Before the 4 bigger ones, every figure in this video is dated and sourced. And that's the slow part of making it. Subscribing is what makes more of these worth doing. And if there's a state you want me to run next, put it in the comments. That's genuinely how I pick. Cost number 4, homeowners insurance. And this one is a correction, not a scare. You'll see a figure going around that Tennessee has the 7th highest home insurance costs in America, $3,400 a year. I checked it against the insurance regulator's own data. The official numbers say the opposite. In the last published year, the average Tennessee homeowners policy ran $1,492. The national average was $1,569. Tennessee sat below average. The viral figure is a model from a comparison site, not regulator data. Now the honest part. That official number is from 2022. Premiums have risen everywhere since, and there is no reliable 2026 state figure yet. I'm not going to invent one. What I can tell you is that the official record has never shown Tennessee as an expensive insurance state. Tennessee does average about 31 tornadoes a year. Wind is generally covered by standard policies. Which brings us to what isn't. Cost number 5, flood. This is the one that actually bites. In September 2024, Tropical Storm Helene put 8 East Tennessee counties into a federal disaster declaration at the individual assistance tier. That's the tier that means homes were damaged. And in January 2026, a winter storm put 95 of Tennessee's counties under a public assistance declaration, effectively the whole state. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover flooding. Flood cover is a separate policy, and its price depends on the exact property. I have now tried to price East Tennessee flood insurance in 3 separate videos, and I still can't give you a defensible number because there isn't a published one. What I can tell you is what I said in the Best Places video. A lender will ask, have the answer before you make an offer, not after. The hidden cost isn't the premium. It's finding out at closing that the river a quarter-mile away has an opinion about your mortgage. Cost number 6, property tax. And this one's here for balance, because a hidden cost video that hides the good news is just a scare video. Tennessee's effective property tax averages about 0.5% of the home's value. That is genuinely low, among the lowest in the country. On a $400,000 house, roughly $2,000 a year. In plenty of northern states, the same house runs 3 or 4 times that. So the ledger has 2 sides. The register costs more here, the county bill costs less. Which side wins depends on how much you spend versus how much house you own. Cost number 7, the one you'll never see itemized. The tax break is priced into the house. Here's the mechanism. When a state has no income tax, moving there is worth thousands a year. Buyers know it, sellers know it. So the saving gets bid straight into the housing market. I've measured it across this whole series. Tennessee's outer counties rose 45 to 60% between 2020 and 2026. Wilson County, east of Nashville, now asks 6% more than Nashville itself. Williamson County asks $1.2 million at the median. You collect the income tax saving every payday, and you hand a big slice of it back every month for 30 years through a purchase price that was inflated by everyone else chasing the same saving. Economists call it capitalization. Sellers call it Tuesday. It doesn't mean the move is wrong. It means the brochure math, salary saved times years, is not the real math. The real math nets out the register, the county line, the flood zone, and the mortgage. So, the honest ledger for Tennessee. You keep your whole paycheck. You pay the second highest sales tax in America, on food included. You pay a county fee to own a car. Your property tax is genuinely low. Flood is the risk your policy doesn't cover, and the house itself carries the tax break in its price. Net it all out, and Tennessee still comes in cheap for most households, 8th in the country on the broadest measure. But cheap and free are different words, and the moving brochures keep using the second one. Biggest surprise? The grocery tax. Biggest myth? The insurance number. Biggest real cost? The one in the mortgage. Best news? The property tax. Which state should I run next? Tell me in the comments. That's genuinely how the next one gets picked.